would be nice to see that, but I'm not sure if they've practiced it enough to feel confident using it in the tournament. So their most practiced comp, definitely FLS. Probably the second most practiced would be DKLS, so Shadow Cleave. Maybe Shadow Cleave could be good against the RMD. It's not a matchup that we get to see very often, so I'm curious to see if they decide to do that or if they're just going to lead with their most practiced comp, which is FLS.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting an FLS. I feel like they have so much experience on that FLS. I mean, even through the qualifiers and whatnot, they've been playing together for quite some time at this point. But Mez in their back pocket, man. Mez is a force to be reckoned with. His DK and warrior abilities. I mean, I'd love to see Mez come in here and compete. It would be an absolute pleasure to see that guy. I mean, some of the steals that I've seen this guy do on the ladder have been just unbelievable. It's like almost as if he's had like pain suppression in his toolbar the entire game. It's crazy. But I mean, Tempo Storm, they've proven that they have what it takes to be champions. They really have. I mean, going through the qualifiers, going through regionals, and you gotta love the Jamili antics from regionals. I mean, the water bottle crush. It's a classic at this point.
Give him the janitor treatment, a clean sweep.
Give you a janitor treatment. Yeah.
We got Officer Bean and Janitor Jamili.
So, is he going to sweep up the mess, or is he going to get arrested for loitering? Boom.
For loitering.
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 No, but I'm so excited to see these guys, and I mean, nonetheless, both of these guys are just downright rivals. They both want to take the series for sure, and that road through the winners bracket is a much comfier road than through the losers bracket. If you go through the losers bracket, you have an additional series that you have to play, so I definitely would want to be the one with the cushy ride to the finals. And you guys in chat giving Sea-Doo all of his energy. He's going to need a spirit bomb for this one. He absolutely is. It's going to be a hard matchup. But here we go. We're very, 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 very close to queuing right up, guys. And just so you guys are aware, if you're new to GCD TV, the very first map of every series is going to be Nagrand Arena, a very open, you know, 4 pillars, fair map. And then from there, it's going to be losers pick. So whichever team loses the very first game, the losing team actually gets map advantage and gets to know the enemy team's composition before locking in their own. But here we go, guys. Are you boys ready? It's Nagrand Arena. Welcome to Nagrand Arena. As you can see, Tempo Storm is equipping themselves with that RMD composition. And then on Method Orange, we see Lord Mez. Lord Mez, Beanslayer, Chuck Jones. We got that Feral Druid DK Holy Paladin composition. What do you think, Supa? What do you think?
It's their best comp for RMD. I just don't know if they have a lot of practice on it. I don't know how much CD has been playing as Paladin, so I think it's the smart choice compositionally, as long as they're playing reasonably well. Probably like as long as CD is playing 80% well on Paladin, I think they're going to take this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see, though. There's the full sap out onto Mez. Look at Peekaboo and Jamili pushing up to get the setup going. The cheap shot goes out on the Mez, and it looks like they're going to go him. He preemptively is in that blood presence, not taking any chances. The hand of sacrifice going out onto Bean, it looks like, trying to prevent some CC. But there's the full stun on the Starships, and it looks like they're going to make a swap over onto him. He's going to bark skin instantly, but is it going to be enough? Sea-Doo actually bubbling there. Really worried. It looks like there's going to be an all-in on a Starship. The grip on the Starship, the bark skin will be fading. He puts into the full silence. He's going to trinket. Nature Swiftness, Iron Bark. He's pressing every button in his entire spellbook, but is it going to be enough to save his life? Beanslayer right on his back, and that all-in SCVs from Method Orange is going to take out Starship.
He didn't respond properly at all. Like, Beanslayer got bopped out of the kidney shot. Sea-Doo actually just bubbled right in their face, and he sat through the Strangulate until like the last second of it. If he had just trinketed right away, I think it would have been completely different, and they would have been able to just like flop that back in their face. But just playing a little bit too slow. Maybe wasn't expecting that much damage.
I love to see that aggressive play coming out from Method Orange. It's just unbelievable to see just that just using the defensive cooldowns to be able to just stay in their face and put the pressure in, taking Tempo Storm by surprise, to say the least. All right, guys, we're going to get the next map choice from these guys, and the composition locks in. We're going to get it right into game number 2 here between Method Orange and Tempo Storm. And I don't know about you, but if I was Method Orange, I'd feel pretty good right about now. I mean, it's always...
I wouldn't. I don't think that was nearly as one-sided as it ended up being. I think that I think Starship just wasn't ready to get all in. And although like Feral DK, I think is advantaged in this specific matchup. You don't actually see a lot of it, so they maybe don't have a lot of practice against it. Was it Starship that was telling you that he hasn't played for 10 days or something? I think you were telling me someone was saying they haven't played.
Oh, I don't know. I just heard that someone wasn't playing. But I see a lot of rise ups in chats, man. Definitely give Sea-Doo his energy, and I think they I think he collected that energy quite well because they were in it to win it there. And the next map choice coming out from Tempo Storm is going to be Tolvaron Arena. So with a map like that, a big map like that, and Displacer Beast available to Toto, I can definitely see him getting away in a big map like that and trying to avoid the constant amount of pressure onto him. But we're going to have to wait and see.
Although I appreciate the offensiveness, like knowing that they need to bop Beanslayer on his incarn so he gets it all off. So I think that they're playing that appropriately. I just think that Tempo Storm could have reacted better or a bit faster.
Wow, interesting.
Are they really doing this to us?
Interesting. They pull out the 1-2 punch and then they're just going to put it right back in their pocket. Method Orange is going to be locking in the composition Feral, Restoration Shaman, and Affliction Warlock. So they're going to go to that FLS composition that they're so very familiar with.
I actually don't blame them. I don't know if that game really was going very well, aside from Starship kind of just dropping the ball a little bit. So it's probably smarter for them to play something they're really comfortable with.
You know, Mez was just like put in, he just stomped on face, and now he's just like, oh, you're putting me on the bench? Okay, coach. But the next map is going to be Tolvaron Arena, guys. I'll see you in there. Alright everybody, welcome to Tolvaron Arena. We have Method Orange going up against Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm getting caught off guard in game number 1. Currently Method Orange in the lead 1-0 in this best of 5 series. And they're swapping over to that Feral Lock Shaman. If you don't know who Isabella is, that is Dota. Dota the Warlock.
Yeah, and maybe Starship, they're trying to like abuse Starship mentally or something, like just train him in the dirt all in, and now they're going to dampen him so his brain is kind of fried, like going back between the two. It's completely different play styles. Like using your cooldowns to extend through a long game is a lot different than dealing with an all in. So I think it's smart. Method Orange trying to mind game Tempo Storm a little bit. Despite winning that, I don't think that was going to go very well for them if they did manage to survive. We see the sap onto Dota. Sea-Doo actually getting locked out on that heal from stealth. Peekaboo building up towards that full kidney shot here shortly. Looks like they are going to train Sea-Doo down. Let's see how well he deals with this. Drops a Windwalk Totem, trying to cut away. Jamili blinks in. Bash over onto Starship. Beanslayer looking to build up some pressure, but Sea-Doo's caught into the kidney shot. Deep freeze over onto Dota. A lot of pressure following it up onto Sea-Doo. Down to 19%. Caught into the cheap shot. Trinkets into a Garrote. He gets the link down. Beanslayer is there, but he's going to get cloned up at low HP. Okay, what do they have to connect out of this? If Starship can get another clone, this is looking dire for Sea-Doo. He's trying to recover here. Drops the Cloudburst Totem, getting that Earth Shield up, trying to pick himself back up before the next kidney shot. Cloned out from Beanslayer onto Peekaboo. Really well done from Officer Bean, peeling the guys off and protecting the law.
He absolutely is doing just that. Peekaboo was ready with that yellow buff to get right back on a Sea-Doo at low health, and he just caught into that full Cyclone. Now the main Cyclone goes out onto Peekaboo, and Beanslayer doing a great job just locking down Peekaboo, but man, that was scary. Peekaboo and Jamili just doing so much damage. They are looking so strong here, but Peekaboo looks like they are the kill target at the moment. The offensive block coming out from Jamili. He wants to get something happening. The full Polymorph is going to land on a Sea-Doo. Now they're swapping over onto Beanslayer. It's going to force Beanslayer's wall for now, but Incarnation is still available for Bean. Peekaboo at 50% health here. There's the Shadow Fury on a Starship. If there's anything to follow it up, this could be very scary for Peekaboo, but the defensive blind on the Beanslayer during his Incarnation into the full sap. It's going to get trinketed. He's going to go right back onto Jamili. He wants his offensive cooldowns to do something, but now he's so vulnerable for a setup.
He really is, and Killing Spree is still available. I would imagine a Smoke Bomb Kidney Shot onto Beanslayer here very shortly. Sea-Doo needs to be prepared for it. Beanslayer pulling back. He knows he's vulnerable, going into bear form. He does not want to overextend away from Sea-Doo. He needs to be right on top of him so that Jamili is unable to use those Ice Nova charges. They're actually going to gate away, trying to kite Peekaboo, maybe drop his buff. They're actually going to swap onto Dota. Dota has no trinket either. They could drop the Smoke Bomb. Adrenaline Rush used instead. Beanslayer jumping in immediately. There's the Smoke Bomb, but he gated out of the Smoke Bomb. Really well done from Dota. Now popping the Dark Regeneration, trying to recover some health. Sea-Doo actually dropping the link there a little bit preemptively, maybe to deal with the Killing Spree, just wants to trade 1-for-1, but now he's going to get cloned up and doesn't have that link for later.
That was a red buff Killing Spree, but who knows how much damage it really would have done. Sea-Doo just catching all the CC. There's another stun onto Dota. Sea-Doo still caught in the CC as well as Bean. Dota's all alone here. He's dipping down to 17% health here. He's going to get cloned at super low health. Can Sea-Doo keep him up out of this? We're about to find out shortly, but on the back foot, Peekaboo is so scared, dipping lower and lower. He's going to get cloned up on his Iron Bark. Both teams could go either way at this point. Dota porting out, catching a huge heal from Sea-Doo. He should be okay. Now Peekaboo's the one who's scared at 48% health, but he does have that trinket available to them in case he does get stunned. Yellow buff finally generated for Peekaboo. He doesn't have Killing Spree for another more minute, but he's still doing so much damage with that buff. There's the kidney shot onto Isabella, the clone onto Beanslayer. It's DR'd though, and Sea-Doo still line of sighting, trying to avoid all the CC, but there's the deep freeze. Shadow Fury onto Jamili's polymorph, stopping that. A lockout on the next one, and it looks like Sea-Doo's still in CC regardless. He's been put into the Cyclone. Good job by Starship pushing in, trying to get that CC out. Into now a full polymorph. Dota knows he's in trouble. He's just desperately line of sighting. Red buff for Peekaboo. He is ready to do some damage, and this could be it right here, right now. Killing Spree out onto Dota, but the red buff faded mid Killing Spree, and another Spirit Link is going to be used.
Wow, barely surviving. Now the Dark Soul out from Dota, trying to reverse the pressure. He needs to fake cast these counter spells. Starship actually not going to allow him to do anything. He unbounds, goes for the haunt, but it gets locked out. Jamili not getting caught off guard by that unbound will. Still a lot of pressure from Beanslayer at the moment. Incarnation coming up in about 30 seconds. Jamili has no more blocks remaining. They're going to clone him up on the Iron Bark. Full Fear onto Starship. They're setting up off the clone. That Lava Burst, I think, was just a little bit too early. Jamili down at 46% HP, but Dota caught into the Garrote Silence. Tempo Storm still pushing through the pain at the moment to try and take Dota down. Sea-Doo looks like he has one more link remaining, but no trinket. He's got to be careful with the next move here. Checking out some more Lava Burst even, trying to tap Starship's mana at the moment. Now with no trinkets on Method Orange's side, they're going to be a little bit reluctant to push off the pillar at the moment. I would actually like to see Starship maybe go for a drink and bait Method Orange off the pillar, similarly as we saw earlier with Asber's team baiting Luminosity.
Yeah, it would definitely be in their favor. Sea-Doo's mana, though, is kind of hurt. Starship going for that drink with that mage food. He's coming out with 67% mana. Sea-Doo at 40% mana. I mean, both of these teams just pump out that damage, especially with Peekaboo on a combat rogue. It's looking very good for Tempo Storm, in my opinion. I mean, but Sea-Doo does have that trinket. I'm not sure if he has a Spirit Link, but if he has that Spirit Link, that could be all the difference. Looks like Beanslayer wants to push in here. He's in bear form. He knows he's a little pushed out. Sea-Doo getting garroted up. It looks like they're actually going to be going on to Sea-Doo here. There's the fear on to Peekaboo. Now it's swapped over onto Starships. It's going to force the trinket out. There's the full kidney shot onto Sea-Doo. Dota in that Cyclone. Being in the blind. Sea-Doo's all alone. He's at 47% health here. He's into the DR kidney shot. He's going to trinket out of that. And Peekaboo just going ham onto Sea-Doo.
He didn't get the sap on the blind, though, which means that Beanslayer is going to get the remaining seconds of his Incarn. Jamili has one more block remaining. Peekaboo is going to gouge up Sea-Doo on that Aura Master. He's going to pop the Ascendance now, trying to recover here. He wants Beanslayer to stay offensive onto Jamili. They do force the final Ice Block out from Tempo Storm. Starship still trying to recover as he gets swapped over to Beanslayer going for that Rake Stun into the full clone. Jamili's block has now faded. He's down to 55% HP, and Dota's going to soul swap a full row of dots. Can Beanslayer connect? Double Shadow Fury comes out onto Starship. Peekaboo rotting down at the same time. Starship in recovery mode at the moment, trying to pick his team back up. Full kidney shot onto Beanslayer. They drop the smoke bomb. He's got no trinket. Do they have any damage to follow it up? They need the killing spree if they want to take him down. He gets the survival instincts up. He goes for the Hellstone. He's been saving it all game. He's desperately trying to get back to Sea-Doo to get the link off. Will he get there in time? He's gonna gate back to the box down at 30% HP, running for his life. Starship caught in the fear. His entire team is rotting down. Beanslayer caught in the chief shot. Both teams in trouble. And this comes out from Starship. Killing spree comes out from Peekaboo. Beanslayer is gonna shield wall that, immediately reducing all the damage. Now that Method Orange have recovered, they need to go on offense. Go, go, go.
Yeah, no blocks for Jamili. Both of these guys getting rot down. They know they have to end the game right here, right now. Peekaboo looking for those opportunities, and he's so good at finding them. Getting that smoke bomb out from Beanslayer, getting so many defensive cooldowns. There's the kidney shot on the Bean, the polymorph onto. Oh, there's another Spirit Link for Sea-Doo, and he knows his team is so close to winning. The whole team of Tempo Storm is just taking so much damage. They're constantly rotating pillar to pillar, trying to get away from all this FLS pressure, but can they continue to do it enough for their setups to come off of cooldown? Starship's faking that CS from Dota. Peekaboo looking to get a setup going. It looks like they're just going to kill the pet for now. They're not going to overextend. They're not going to go for the setup unless they have the positioning to do that. And there's the Dark Soul finally fading on Dota. And it looks like Peekaboo might be able to get a re-stealth here, but Bean's not going to let him. He's going to go ahead and stun him right up and put him into that full clone. And now Bean is starting to move out. But look at Sea-Doo's mana. That might become a problem moving forward into this game, especially because we're at 14% dampening.
Yeah, Jamili getting locked on that polymorph. Shadow Fury onto Starship. Vossel looking for a fear, but he gets gouged up on it. Still looking for a full fear. Full fear onto Starship. No blocks onto Jamili. Peekaboo doesn't have anything left either, but Sea-Doo gets put into the full sheet. Pressure on both sides. Starship throws out that Iron Bark onto Jamili. Full kidney shot over onto Dota. I don't think they have enough damage to follow it up. He's going to portal back away from the image. They might want to kill this off behind the pillar. Peekaboo looks like he's trying to get a re-stealth, but that Fairy Fire is up. Beanslayer trying to keep that Fairy Fire up. I'm curious if Starship is going to dispel it. He's actually sitting down for a drink, trying to capitalize on Method Orange's turtliness behind the pillar, and getting mana back like this is very important moving into deep dampening. But Sea-Doo has Trinket Link. Beanslayer has Trinket. They have all of the defensive utility to stay alive. As long as Dota can get some decent damage going out right now, Method Orange are looking good.
They are looking good, man. I mean, they're sitting behind that pillar. They're playing out the weight game at this point. They got everything. We're at 20% dampening. The consistent pressure is going to give them that advantage, and you know Tempo Storm hates that. That is their kryptonite, is that lock shaman compositions. But there we go. The full polymorph lands onto Sea-Doo. Dota knows he's in trouble, but the Cyclone out onto Peekaboo, and Jamili's pushing in at low health, and he does have that ice block available to him. But here we go. They're actually going out onto Sea-Doo. Incarnation coming out from Beanslayer, trying to peel for his Restoration Shaman. It looks like Sea-Doo's going to go ahead and gate away, but Peekaboo's right there with his yellow buff, right back on his tail. Jamili pushing in as well with the Iron Bark. Beanslayer trying to peel Peekaboo off of him, but he has that evasion up to avoid the stuns from the Incarnation. Sea-Doo mana now at 7% health here. Jamili dipping relatively low. He has that block available to him, but man, this has been such a close game so far. 25% dampening. Sea-Doo at 8% mana. Starship did get that drink off, but I don't know. It could go either way at this point.
Yeah, Tempo Storm got both trinkets out of the way, though. Sea-Doo and Beanslayer are both very exposed right now defensively. Jamili trying to build up some full icicles off of the Observer pet, doing a good job here. He's got 5 lined up. They're ready to move in. Killing spree available for Peekaboo. This could be the final kill attempt from Tempo Storm. Cheap shots onto 2. Who are they going to go after? Deep freeze over onto Sea-Doo. Jamili gets locked on the poly, goes for the Frostjaw. He gets the Frostjaw. He needs to follow it up, but he gets feared by Dota. Clone is going to follow it up instead by Starship. There's the Shadow Reflection out from Peekaboo. They're looking for the kill right here and right now. Sea-Doo has no trinket. Dota is completely alone, needs to start cutting. He pops the Dark Regeneration. They're trying to stabilize. Beanslayer tries to go for the Typhoon on the CC. Doesn't manage to get it. Peekaboo's going to reconnect. Sea-Doo into the 1 second of Polymorph. He has one more Link. He's going to drop it. The Link is going to keep Dota alive a little bit longer now. He needs to reverse some pressure. Unfortunately, he's getting locked down so much by Peekaboo and Jamili at the moment. Beanslayer caught into the bash. Are they going to chain that into the clone? Starship looks like he's looking for it. He has to fake the counter spells. He managed to fake both, but he gets put into the full fear. Jamili rotting down. He's got one more block remaining. Huge ferocious bite out from Bean. Killing spree out from Peekaboo to reverse the pressure onto Dota, but with no CC onto Sea-Doo, he's going to easily heal through that. Finally, the ice block out from Jamili. Peekaboo is dipping dangerously low, forced to use that Cloak of Shadows. Starship trying to recover. He's got no cooldowns remaining to keep Jamili alive. Beanslayer and Dota just need to connect for a few more seconds to take him down.
Just a few more seconds, man. But Beanslayer and Dota are doing such a good job stopping the CC over onto Dota or onto Sea-Doo, and now they're pushing in. They smell blood in the water. Starship still has that trinket available to him, but Jamili without blocks. Peekaboo dipping lower and lower without cloak. This is so scary for Tempo Storm, but these guys are pushing up. It could go either way. Peekaboo at 90% health here. Jamili at 10. Nothing left in the tank for Jamili and Peekaboo. And down goes Jamili. And Method Orange taking game number 2 with their composition swaps to FLS. What an amazing upset so far. Method Orange is just 1 game away from continuing on in the winner's bracket.
Peekaboo cheekily left the game before the double kill.
Oh man, it's so hard to come back from crazy amounts of pressure that FLS can pump out, especially with Dark Soul going up at 35% dampening. But man, there is so many close calls for kills from Tempo Storm against Method Orange. It really could have gone either way all game long. And this series so far has been phenomenal. All these players playing so well, and I can't wait to jump into Game 3.
Oh
Question
man,
is,
what are they gonna do?
yeah, what map? Where are we going, Supa?
Ew. Well, Tolveron didn't work out. I don't think any map specifically is going to do too well. Maybe they go for runes. Maybe they all in Sea-Doo is an option. You typically see RMD against FLS, like they open on Shaman to bait Trinket Link, and then they make a swap to something else, either the Warlock or the Feral, depending on the positioning, and depending on if maybe they Trinket to peel. But generally speaking, you usually use the first kidney shot on the Shaman because you almost always get Trinket Link out of the way, and then you don't have to deal with that later. So it feels like the first setup is going really well for them, and then the second setup, they're just not pushing the right CC in the right areas at the right time, really, to switch the target and set up a kill. It seemed like Peekaboo at the end had a lot of damage, but he wasn't able to build up to a red buff. I don't have the tracker that you do, but it seemed like, I'm not sure if that last killing spree was even red, but there was no CC on Sea-Doo, and he was able to easily heal through it. So they spent so long building up for that killing spree, and then didn't have anything to back it up. So
yeah, I mean, that red buff was there for Peekaboo, but he actually got cloned on it at the very last few ticks of it, so didn't get the full damage out, but Sea-Doo was just pumping the heals out through the whole thing, and like you said, no CC. That's everything. It's all about the setup. I mean, that red buff is really, really hard to accumulate, but you have to make sure, make sure that it's lined up with the CC. But this FLS is doing a great job, you know, with those rakes from Incarnation, the Cyclones, as well as the Shadow Furies. They're stopping that crowd control, and they're communicating it well. You can definitely tell. But Tempo Storm, man, they're all about that cross CC, and you know they have it in them. But here we go. The next map is going to be Tiger's Peak, guys. I'll see you in there. Welcome everybody to Tiger's Peak. We have Tempo Storm going up against Method Orange, Beanslayer, Dota, and Sea-Doo representing FLS. Once again, going up against Tempo Storm, sticking with their bread and butter. They're on that RMD, but Peekaboo running that Combat Rogue. Peekaboo known for running Subtlety. Might not be super duper familiar with Combat Rogue, but so far, I mean, he's putting out the damage and he's getting the CC, but I honestly don't know what it is Tempo Storm needs to do different.
I would like to see them open on Sea-Doo, get Trinket Link, and then just train Beanslayer until he dies. After that,
I really think that's a good idea too, especially as a combat rogue and Feral's being so susceptible to stuns. That could be a really good strat. But here we go. The sap goes out onto Dota, and it looks like they're taking their time looking for the setup. Invisibility comes out for Jamili, stealth for Starship. Even though Shroud has gone down, they're all still invisible wizards.
Yeah, another sap over onto Dota. Peekaboo looking to try and find his target. Cheap shot over onto Dota. It looks like he's going to be the opening target as Sea-Doo does get cloned up by Starship. Beanslayer still staying in stealth, though. Looking for maybe a peel potentially for Sea-Doo. Now, he waited patiently for that. He's going to peel Peekaboo, forced to trinket there and the evasion, but Sea-Doo's taking so much damage. Mark for death, double Abyss into the Grode. He drops the Link. Beanslayer's the only one beside him. He pops the Hellstone. That is 6! He's going to go down, and Dota was not in position for the Link, and Tempo Storm are going to take a game off of Method Orange here. Maybe this is the comeback. They need to win 2 more if they want to advance, whereas Method needs to win 1 more. But I guess they weren't. It looked like Beanslayer was ready for that. He was waiting in stealth, waiting for the swap, stunned him on it. But Peekaboo just trinket evasion immediately to stay offensive, and they just went for the all-in kill onto Sea-Doo.
Looks like they took something out of the book of Method Orange for game number 1, as that all-in was downright nasty. I mean, the damage was unbelievable coming out from these guys, and that was just a mere adrenaline rush coming out for Peekaboo. But as well, like you said, that Mark for Death double Aviz is just brutal. Wow.
See the icicle assault from Jamili, just like 7 different snowballs flying at him at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just see all these animations just falling on that poor blue, but Holy crow, Tempo Storm. They're bringing it back, man. I mean, that was a crazy amount of pressure, and if they can make that happen again and again and again, if they don't get a kill, they're going to get a lot of defensive cooldowns. That's for sure.
All right, well, Tempo Storm have found their footing. The first 2 games are just a warm-up.
Yeah, it was just a warm-up. They just wanted to get everyone's hopes up, and then they're just going to take a flat-out 3-0 out of nowhere. You know, I mean, we've seen it happen.
They're playing the crowd? You think they're playing the crowd?
They're playing the crowd, man. I mean, we've seen it in the past. But the Ruins of Lordaeron is actually the map choice from Method. Whoa.
I don't really agree with that. I think Sea-Doo should have gone for a Hex. I definitely think that would have helped his team a lot.
You should have pressed Nature's Swiftness, man.
Yeah, well, you have a keybound? I mean, NS...
You know what it would have won? It would have been Nature's Swiftness into Hex.
Yeah, that was the play he needed to make. He just didn't do it.
Ruins of Lordaeron, man. All right, it looks like Sea-Doo wants to bring them to their dungeon. Sea-Doo's dungeon. Is Sea-Doo's dungeon going to be enough to take the last game that they need off of Tempo Storm, though? That's the question.
I don't know. I think they just... It looks like Beanslayer knew what was up, though. Like, he wasn't peeling for Dota. He waited in stealth, and then he looked to peel Peekaboo, but then Peekaboo just immediately trinket evasion cloak, offensive all-in, kills Sea-Doo, and then Dota was just too far away. I don't know if maybe he needed to gate. I guess he wanted to get away from Peekaboo, potentially building up for the red buff, but maybe Dota needed to be the one that portaled back, something like that. But most often than not, you are going to have to trinket link the first kidney shot as a shaman to get that. So I think they should just be ready to be in position for it if they need it.
Right. You know, are we going to see a composition swap? I mean, I'm just thinking, wait, Ruins of Lordaeron. Yes, that's exactly what we are going to see. So we have DK, Paladin, and Druid. So we have that Frost DK, Holy Paladin, and Feral Druid coming out from Method, and then Tempo Storm staying that RMD. But we're on Ruins of Lordaeron. There's nowhere Starship can hide on this map.
Well, the other thing is they have God comp, so maybe that's why they switched to FLS, because they knew they would just pick God comp if they picked the DK comp again.
Oh, interesting.
But now that they lost, they get the comp advantage, because they get to know what it is first. Yeah. So I think it's smart from Method to change it. Now we get Mez back, and he gets to be the MVP if he wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go, guys. We're going to jump right into Ruins of Lordaeron, potentially the last game of the series. Or is it? I'll be right back. Welcome to Ruins of Lordaeron, Tempo Storm versus Method Orange, game number 4. Oh man, I'm going to be following Peekaboo out the door this time. Running that RMD, going up against Beanslayer, Mez, and Chuck Jones, aka Sea-Doo, on the Holy Paladin. Here we go.
Mez looks very eager, hot and ready on that fiery chicken.
The fiery chicken. I'd love to see a boomkin on that fiery chicken. That would look great.
Would burn his butt.
Would burn his butt. The sap goes out onto Mez. Tempo Storm looking for their opener. Looks like Jamili's just going to catch some icicles on Mez. And both teams playing relatively patient for now. Oh man, I can't wait to see what happens here. It's going to be crazy. Beanslayer getting in close, looking for an opener. Denounce is going out onto Jamili. Jamili taking a little bit of damage. He's at 65% health here at this point. But look how patient both of these teams are. No one wants to be initiator, but Mez is like, nope, I will be. And he jumps right onto Jamili, jipping him down to 55% health here right away. Starship still in stealth. He's still in stealth. Chuck Jones actually getting locked out, and he's going to bubble. He wants to go in. There's the stun onto Peekaboo. Starship looks like he is the kill target. He's in the room. The gouge goes out onto Beanslayer from Peekaboo, and it looks like Tempo Storm is on all peel mode. All peel on decks.
Yeah, Iron Bar preemptive from Starship. I would like to see maybe actually, he's holding on to the Heart of the Wild. Incarn hasn't been used yet, so smart play from Starship. He recognized that it wasn't an all-in, despite Sea-Doo bubbling. But in the meantime, they are going to get Jamili to block. Peekaboo cloned up by Beanslayer. Still Incarnation available. They really want to connect on the Starship with it. There's the Incarn. Immediately, Heart of the Wild is popped, and Barskin. But Sea-Doo's going ham with these denounces. Smoke Bomb gets dropped defensively by Peekaboo to reduce more damage onto Starship. Really well-placed a Smoke Bomb, but they can even swap over to Jamili. He's already down down to 47% HP. Sea-Doo getting full polyed on his wings. He is going to trinket that top off Bean Slayer. They need to stay offensive. Starship gets strangulated. He trinkets it this time around, trying to get some hots rolling, but Sea-Doo is going ham. Denounce after denounce, and Starship will go down, and Method Orange are going to 3-1 Tempo Storm and advance.
Yeah, I mean, the damage was crazy. Sea-Doo, if you just look at how many globals he had, there was denounces, there was holy shocks. He did probably so much damage. I'll show you how much damage he did after this. But, I mean, look at Tempo Storm. Jamili dipping down so low on hyperthermia. That was so close. Anyone could have gone down there. But Method Orange on Ruins of Order definitely were at home, to say the very least. That was the map that they wanted for that composition. But taking a look at Sea-Doo's damage, he actually did 347,000 damage. And he would.
Whenever Mez plays, Mez wins.
Whenever Mez plays, Mez wins. You heard it here first. Mez has a 100% win ratio. There we go. Method Orange is going to advance to the winner bracket, and Tempo Storm is going to be knocked down to the lower bracket. Let's take a quick look at that bracket. All right. Losers bracket, we have Hot Fire versus Luminosity coming up next, and then follow Esports versus Tempo Storm. That's all going to be happening in the next 2 matches, guys. But until then, I just